Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Morris. Welcome back to one of our retailer to publisher webinars. We're really excited about this one. We got Tom Wetzel with us here today. We're going to be talking Thames and Kosmos, and we're going to be talking about two very specific games. One that is already out, Imhotep The Duel, and the other, which we're going to talk about, which is about to be released, is The Crew. And I don't want to steal too much of Tom's thunder, but I can tell you that there's a lot of anticipation around The Crew. If you look at what it is from a price point, from a gameplay, from a capability standpoint, it just hits on like every hot button that gamers would like. And Tom and I were just talking actually prior to this, and it was really interesting. Many of you may know Eric Martin. He's the head of the news for BGG, Board Game Geek. He had made a comment to me that he had played the game 53 times at BGGCon this year, which was pretty amazing because he rarely gushes over anything, let alone, one single game to play all the time. But it was really cool to see that kind of attention to it. I know it's been a hot one for us. It's been a hot one for probably you in the store, and you've heard about it already since they announced it at Essen. But I don't want to steal too much thunder, but it is going to be really, really cool. So as always, I always like to remind everybody, everything is on the table. You're allowed to ask any kind of questions you like. The easiest way to do that is if you hover over your main video window, if you're on a PC or a Mac, there's a little chat bubble button at the bottom. You can click on that, and then you can send a message to either all panelists or all attendees. The panelists are, of course, myself and Tom, and then attendees are all the other retailers. We'll be happy to answer any kind of questions you guys have along the way. But with that, Tom, I'm going to kick it over to you and let you start talking about some awesome games.
Oh, thank you, Scott. First of all, I apologize for the lighting. It seems that I'm going back and forth between light and dark, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I'll just start off with the quick PowerPoint, and we can kind of from there talk more. This is a good starting point for us. So as an introduction, most of you already know Kosmos Games, but a quick overview of what we think of ourselves, at least. Consistency and quality are very important to us. Let's see. And there we go. So we have, as a board game publishing company, 50 years of experience with countless awards, many Spiel awards, but then of course, Board Game Geek awards, Dice Tower awards, just about any kind of award. We've received some recognition there. We do have some of the best designers and editors in the industry, and I feel like it's sometimes important to point out that the editors play a very strong role at Kosmos, because when we get a game, we want to fine-tune it and make sure that it's absolutely the best that the designer can give, and sometimes editing that is where that really shines. Reputation for quality that we back up with amazing customer support, and that's actually where I started with Kosmos Games, is in the technical support side. So I can with confidence tell you that we take it very serious, and we bend over backwards to make sure that people have a great experience with Kosmos Games, and that goes to the end user customers, but also the retailers if there's any problem at all. And then consistent brands. You will have recognized these. We have Exit the Game, Adventure Games, Imhotep, Lost City, Targi, Drop It, the list goes on and on. And although we don't have as big of a catalog as some publishers, I think we have a very strong catalog. So these are the two games that we're going to go over very briefly today. And hopefully, if you have any questions, we can answer any, because I'm not spelling out everything here, but some points to consider at least. So we have The Crew, Quest for Planet 9, which is the game that's coming out beginning of March, and Imhotep The Duel, which came out about 6 months ago around Gen Con last year. So first, we'll go over The Crew a little bit. At first glance, you'll notice that this game has a ton of buzz, as Scott already mentioned, and it's crazy because it did release at Essen, but even having released in Essen, it's getting a lot of English reviews and attention, and on Board Game Geek it's already got 600 ratings, and it's got a 7.9, which is fantastic. It's just exceeding our expectations in every way in that regard, and we're very excited about it. Upgraded components. One of the things, and I shared this with Scott beforehand, Eric Martin, who played the game 56 times or 53 times at BGGCon, recognized that his cards were starting to show a little bit of wear. So he showed this to me. I brought that feedback to the production team here, and we've decided to upgrade the components. So they're not just the paper cards, they're actually linen finished cards, so they should hold up a lot longer. And if you know linen finished cards, you know they just shuffle better, they feel better. It's just a better quality game, and it's gonna mean a little bit extra edge, I think, on that. So this is a co-op trick-taking game, and I won't go into that too much, but I do want to touch on how that's kind of done. It's fantastic. If you know how a trick-taking game works, then you will have no problem picking up this game because it uses a lot of the same mechanics as games like Hearts or Spades or Bridge. So if you know any of those kinds of games, or any of like the recent ones that also came out, like Fox in the Forest, which was a big game for Renegade, if you know those games, learning this will take 5 minutes. If you don't know trick-taking game, well, you're in for a great treat because the trick-taking games are fantastic. But the rules do a very good job of going over how the game works. So the manual is there to teach everyone from beginners to advanced gamers. And there's a Kosmos helper app that we're going to release for that to help teach people too, but that's later in the PowerPoint as well. Low price point, $14.95. Even with the upgraded card component, we're keeping the price at $14.95, which is fantastic, especially for a game that's got this much buzz. And you'll notice same size as the exit games. It's a very standard size for us now because the exit games have been so popular. We're calling that kind of the fun size box, and it's just, yeah, a good price point and a good size for us. Hopefully those fit on your shelf well. Components, there's not a ton. It's mostly cards. There's 45 large playing cards and 36 of the small task cards. And that's how the co-op thing works. The task cards give you a mission. You shuffle those up, and according to the mission you're on, you deal those out, and the appropriate players need to acquire those cards. But the whole team works together to make sure you get that card. So yeah, lots of cards. And then the tokens are there. They're handy little icons so that you can understand the mission that you're on. Sometimes the mission will be you need to acquire like the pink 2 card before the blue 4 card. And the tokens are there to kind of keep those tasks clear. And then one of the biggest components, which isn't actually pictured here, is the rulebook and the logbook. The logbook is where it has the 50 different missions that you can go on, and you can go in any order you want, or you can go through the whole thing in chronological order. But the logbook is super important, and it's got space so that you can record multiple plays of games. So lots of replayability too. All right, so cooperative strategy game, we win or we lose together. It's a new twist on the classic trick-taking game. It's already getting great reviews. The helper app, that's going to be coming out when we release the game, and that's our kind of live interactive, it's got animation and text and audio all going on at the same time, teaching people how to play our games. If you haven't seen the app, you should check it out. It has all of our exit games. It has the Imhotep games. Any of our big, very successful games are going to be on there. So definitely check that out. And that's going to make it easy for people who maybe don't already have the trick-taking experience under their belt. This will help them. And then one of the great things about this game is you can't communicate. And it's a space-themed one. And I don't know how intentional that was, but I, of course, thought of aliens in space. No one can hear you scream. So maybe that'll be on a button. Some statistics. It plays 3 to 5 players, but there's actually a 2-player variant, so you can play with 2. Ages 10 plus. I'm saying it's a 20-minute play time, but you could play for 5 minutes if you wanted to do one mission, or you could play for hours like I have already done. Because there's so much content, you can just keep going and keep going. And you can actually go back and revisit things that, like I've played Mission 5 probably 100 times just because that's my favorite one. And then again, the tutorial on the Kosmos Helper app. And any questions about that, I'm happy to answer at the end of this as well. So keep those. Let's see. Imhotep The Duel. This is the one that came out about 6 months ago. It's based on the best-selling, award-winning game by the same name, Imhotep, which was nominated for a Spiel back in 2017, I believe. This is a great two-player game, and I rarely use this term, but I really mean it. I think it's got elegant gameplay. It's so simple, it's so beautiful. The rules are simple and clean, and the gameplay really, it goes into your head, and it has a great satisfying feel to it. And again, another low price point. This one, our two-player box is very standard size. If you have Lost Cities, the card game, or Targi, this is the exact same size, exact same price. Imhotep The Duel is great because board gamers will recognize the Imhotep brand, because that game was very successful for us. I assume a lot of people will already know that brand. The game is easy to teach. This is maybe one of its best qualities, is it's how quick you can set this game up and how quick you can play it. It takes about 5 minutes to explain the game. If you're a gamer, like, that's no problem at all. If you've never played a board game before, I really think that you could still get it in under 10 minutes because it's so simple. You could play it again and again and again because there are these tiles that the way that they get placed out on the boats are going to change every single time, similar to like shuffling a deck of cards. So every time you play, it's going to be a little bit different experience. In this game, it continues to get great coverage, and I've noticed just recently it's been getting a lot more coverage. I've seen probably 10 reviews on YouTube just pop up in the past, I don't know, 2 weeks, and I think that people maybe didn't recognize that game when it first came out at Gen Con for one reason or another. So many games, 2,000-3,000 games come out every year, so it's hard to keep on top of all of them. But this one is kind of floating to the top, I think. It's getting a lot of great coverage. So, and there's just one of the YouTube reviews. This one actually came out a little while ago, but still a really great review. They absolutely love it. Compared it to Seven Wonders Duel in the gameplay and the feel. Some statistics. This is, like I said before, a two-player game. It's for ages 10 and up. 30 minutes playtime. That's what we have on the box. I think that you can actually play it in less. Maybe your first game, it's going to be at 30 minutes, but after that, it'll actually get quicker than that, which is great. And this one is also got the tutorial on the Kosmos Helper app. All right. Now, in summary, this will be really quick today. Kosmos games, consistent, top quality. You can trust us. We really bend over backwards for our customers. The crew is going to sell out quickly. I know that GTS just placed a very healthy order. I think they have a lot of faith in this game, game as well, but I think it's going to surprise everyone. It's going to sell out. Imhotep The Duel continues to get great reviews and coverage. And honestly, I think that this is one that is just going to be a staple, kind of one of those evergreens alongside Targi and Lost Cities. Great two-player game, which I think two-player games are getting a lot of attention right now. So, and then this is my contact. If you have any questions, concerns, feedback, anything like that, please always contact me. Yeah, that's the whole spiel.
Pardon the pun, right? Spiel. Yeah. One of the things that I was going to point out, obviously there's a lot of attention around the crew. One of the things that impressed me around Imhotep Duel is that there's been kind of this trend lately of a lot of games that have done very well making that, duel style thing, and it kind of started with Seven Wonders Duel and took off from there with a couple of different ones that have done it. This is, for me, and you're spot on, the whole 30-minute thing. Like, it may take you 30 minutes to read the rule book and play the whole first game, but my wife and I, playing two players of that, we could probably jam out 6 games in an hour. I mean, it's pretty quick once you get moving. But the thing that impressed me is that it didn't feel like it was the base game of Imhotep cut down. right? Like a lot of the duel games have always kind of given me that feeling of, oh yeah, this is very much like playing the big game, but it's just more like a smaller version of it, and not
Right.
didn't really add a whole new element to it or anything. But the kind of the grid framework of the board and the boats and timing what to take and what tiles to take, it was one of those things when we first read it, we were like, so we just put our guys down, and then that claims a row or a column, and then we take these. Well, this seems really simple. And then we started taking the tiles, and we're like, oh, this is where the strategy comes in, right? You know, so it's a very deceptively, really, really good game. So yeah, we've done very well with it. We're actually in the middle of restocking it right now too, which is good for the retailers to know. So if you go to check your local warehouse on gtsdistribution.com and you don't see it in stock, there are some POs that are actually in motion right now with Thames and Kosmos as of last week to get those restocked. If you have questions about it, ask your sales rep. They'll be able to help you out and get you squared away for everything. The crew is, to me, like this is one of the probably top 10 anticipated games in terms of everything that I know about for the year. And we do have a lot of insight, you know, from a distribution standpoint into what's coming out between now and the end of the year. But it's a game that when I look at it and I see the price point at $14.95, the absolute amazing amount of replayability with, like, just Eric saying he played the game 53 times. I mean, even if you just play every mission on your own, you're playing 50 times right there. But then going back and trying to redo it and do it more efficiently and things like that, there's just a lot of stuff here. It also strikes me, and Tom, you may not be able to confirm or deny this, it strikes me as the kind of game that while it could easily be in everybody's backpack all the time, you know, because it's so small and such a small price point, it's also a game that can be expanded upon probably pretty easily. You know, if something like this takes off, I could easily see some additional, you know, missions and components and things like that coming down the road.
Yeah, we actually, so for the Dice Tower Kickstarter that recently happened, we offered them a promo which added 3 extra missions. So it's easy to tack these things on. And those missions, we're actually going to, as soon as those promos get shipped out, we're going to make that available as a PDF. You can just download and play at any time.
Sure.
But yeah, there's tons of replayability and there's tons of additional material that you could add. Yeah, I'm just so excited about this game. I want to share one quick story about when I went home for the holidays. Obviously, I was lucky enough to get a copy of it Essen. So I brought that back, one of the few copies, and I brought that back, and I was playing it with my family. Now, my family, they don't play board games. I'm the only one in the family that really plays board games, but we did play Hearts when I was a kid. So I taught them this game, and I'm always concerned because, like I said, like they're sports fanatics. They don't really sit down and play games often. But once I got them to play this, like it clicked so quick because they had that little bit of experience with Hearts. They knew how the game played, and it was just an immediate like hook. Like they just wanted to keep playing. And we ended up playing for like hours, and that just doesn't happen with my family. So really good experience. I think it's going to be a great game for both experienced gamers who like to think about nuanced strategies, and for beginners who just want to play something that they're kind of familiar with. So,
yeah. There was a quick question, and I agree 1,000%. I think it's one of those games where it's so familiar in terms of the gameplay. If you've ever played Hearts or Spades or anything like that, that it's an easy transition into it. This is a game that when Tom first showed me at Essen, he walked me through it, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Like it's pure, right? It's not like jumbled up with all these extra things, and it doesn't take like a mechanic and throw like, you know, 100 things on top of it. It does the trick taking, but it does it in a cooperative way. And it does it in a cooperative way where you're really all at that table, like working with each other and talking. Like you said, you can't talk about everything, but you're talking about different things. And there always becomes those moments where people are like, well, we should go to dinner at 4. Yeah, 4 would be good. People look at each other and you're like, wait, this is a clue, right? You're trying to figure it all out. So it's really, really fun. But Derek had a question. Derek, I don't know the direct answer to your question. You'd asked, why doesn't GTS carry the full-size version of Ubongo? We have in the past. It may either be a question of the warehouse that you're looking at may be out, or it may be an out of stock. I don't know, Tom, if that is out of stock with you guys yet or not. But that's something we'll have to follow up with our purchasing on and get back to you on, Derek, because we have carried that in the past. So.
Yeah, it is available. We updated the box art last year.
Yeah.
So maybe there was like a crossover there where like we had to run out of the old stuff before we brought in the new stuff. So maybe there was a time where it was out of stock and GTS didn't reorder it. So that could have been the case, but I'll make sure we follow up with you on that.
Yep, we can do that really easily. So, okay. Okay, yeah, understood, Derek. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do to get an answer for you. If you don't mind putting in the chat, Derek, just let me know which warehouse is your local warehouse, and then I can get with the purchasing team to make sure we get everything squared away with that. So, cool. Jax, perfect, awesome, cool. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if you haven't taken a chance to pre-order the crew yet, definitely take a chance to do that. It's as Tom said, we put in a pretty healthy pre-order for this. It's much larger than what the normal orders are, because again, we think it's going to be superbly good, both from a gameplay perspective and from a reception perspective. If you go online, there's a lot of reviewers talking about it, a lot of people making comments about it online, and when you get those influencers and you get those people who get a lot of media attention getting behind things, that's when things can really start to take off, which is really good. And then of course, while Derek had mentioned about Ubongo, there's a lot of other games inside of the Kosmos space. You hinted at it earlier a little bit where you said, we don't have a very large catalog, but the catalog that you do have are things that do very well. And I tend to agree with that, because the exit games just continue to be innovative. They are original. I've never run into anyone who has told me, oh, well, this one feels like that one. Like they're always a unique experience. They're always a fun experience. And again, at the price point, it's just great value for the entertainment. And I think the crew is going to lead you guys down a similar road with that, with the same price point, which is really good to see. So yeah. Awesome. Well, there's no additional questions that have come in, so we will take that as the end of the call. But retailers, thank you very much. Really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know yesterday was a Super Bowl, and some people were probably up really late and having fun, and some people were really happy, and some people were really angry. But that's unfortunately the way the sports game goes. So, but Tom, thank you very much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Again, if anyone has any questions, you can follow up with Tom or myself directly. Really do appreciate it. But until we see you next time, have a great week in your stores. Pre-order the crew and Imhotep Duel, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you again.